Ashtottara Shri Srimad Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajkacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Mahārāja Prabhupāda ki jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. नामाचार्य श्रीलारिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपी गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय. ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय. मथुरा धाम की जय. नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय. पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय. श्री कुरुक्षेत्र धाम की जय. गंगा यमुना माई की जय. वृंदादेवी तुलसी महाराज की जय. जय जय श्री राधे. जय जय श्री राधा कुंज बिहारी की जय. जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय. जय श्रीनाथ जी बालगोपाल गिरि गोवर्धन की जय. जय श्री श्री गौरताय की जय. जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. सामवेद भक्तवृंद की जय. हरे कृष्ण. Hare Krishna. So, welcome to ISKCON Detroit Srimad Bhagavatam morning class. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, entitled Punishment and Reward of Kali, text number 22. So, let us start with invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Nastaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo. So, welcome to ISKCON Detroit Srimad Bhagavatam morning class. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, Punishment and Reward of Kali, text number 22. So, Rajovacha Dharmam Bravisi Dharmagya. Dharmam Bravisi Dharmagya. Dharmosi Vrisharupadrit. Dharmosi Vrisharupadrit. Yad Adharma Kritasthanam. Yad Adharma Kritasthanam. Suchakashyapi tad bhavet. Suchakshyapi tad bhavet. Rajovacha Dharmam Bravisi Dharmagya. Dharmosi Vrisharupadrit. Yad Adharma Kritasthanam. Suchakashyapi tad bhavet. So let us go word by word. Raja Uvacha, the king said, Dharmam, religion. Bravisi, as you speak. Dharmagna, O one who knows the codes of religion. Dharma, the personality of religion. Asi, you are. Vrisharupadrik, in the disguise of a bull. Yat, whatever. Adharma krita, one who acts irreligiously. Sthanam, place. Suchakasya, of the identifier. Api, also. Tat, that. Bhavet, becomes. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Translation. The king said, O you who are in the form of a bull, you know the truth of religion, and you are speaking according to the principle that the destination intended for the perpetrator of irreligious acts is also intended for one who identifies the perpetrator. You are no other than the personality of religion, purport. A devotee's conclusion is that no one is directly responsible for being a benefactor or mischief monger without the sanction of the Lord. Therefore, he does not consider anyone to be directly responsible for such action. But in both the cases, he takes it for granted that either benefit or loss is God's end. And thus it is His grace. In case of benefit, no one will deny that it is God's end. But in case of loss or reverses, one becomes doubtful about how the Lord could be so unkind to His devotee as to put him in great difficulty Jesus Christ was seemingly put into such great difficulty, being crucified by the ignorant, but he was never angry at the mischief mongers. That is the way of accepting a thing either favorable or unfavorable. Thus, for a devotee, the identifier is equally a sinner, like the mischief monger. By God's grace, the devotee tolerates all reverses. Mahārāja Parīkṣit observed this. Therefore, he could understand that the bull was no other than the personality of religion himself. In other words, a devotee has no suffering at all because so-called suffering is also God's grace for a devotee who sees God in everything. The cow and bull never placed any complaint before the king for being tortured by personality of Kali. Although everyone lodges such complaints before the state authorities, the extraordinary behavior of the bull made the king conclude that the bull was certainly the personality of religion, for no one else could understand the finer intricacies of the codes of religion. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshuramitam Tasmai Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raguna Tanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Sa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So yesterday we have seen that Sutta Goswami said, O best among the Brahmanas, the Emperor Parīkṣit, thus hearing the personality of religion speak, was fully satisfied, and without mistake or regret, he gave his reply. So yesterday we have seen how the spiritual wisdom can change how we respond. Like it helps us to understand, like we have to hear the other person properly, completely, then able to understand what he said, then respond to that person. Not like simply, even in the half of the conversation, like just replying or counterattacking that person. Right? So, today, we see that the king said, like the Parīkṣit Maharaj said, that, oh you who are in the form of a bull, you know the truth of religion, and you are speaking according to the principle that the destination intended for the perpetrator of irreligious acts is also intended for one who identifies the perpetrator. You are no other than the personality of religion. So, the central theme of today's verse should not simply be accept suffering, but rather a devotee sees both favorable and unfavorable circumstances as coming by the grace of the Lord. Therefore, he does not become consumed by blame, resentment, or retaliation. Mahārāja Parīkṣit here recognizes Dharma precisely because Dharma does not accuse Kali, even though Kali has tortured him. The purport then takes us very deeper. Who identifies the offender can become implicated in the reaction, because ultimately the devotee sees the hand of the Lord behind both benefit and difficulty. a devotee respond differently to suffering? As we have encountered this situation, very unusual situation, that a bull has been beaten, a cow has been tortured, and the person responsible here is Kali, and it's all going under the reign of Mahārāja Parīkṣit. What would we normally expect from a king? If someone is harming an innocent person, the king should immediately ask, like, who did this? Who is responsible? Who should be punished? Right? This is actually part of a king's responsibility. But here, something extraordinary happens. That the bull does not accuse Kali. The bull does not say that person is responsible or this person is responsible. Instead, Dharma gives a philosophical answer. And Mahārāja Parīkṣit becomes surprised, astonished. He realizes that, oh, this is not an ordinary bull. This must be Dharma himself. Because Dharma is demonstrating something extremely elevated. And he is not simply identifying an external culprit. He is thinking about the deeper law governing suffering. So, today we will see what is this extraordinary vision of Dharma. Why Dharma does not simply blame Kali. Why Mahārāja Parīkṣit recognizes Dharma from his response. The difference between ordinary blame consciousness and devotional consciousness. Why accepting God's arrangement does not mean denying another person's responsibility. So, the extraordinary vision of Dharma. What does Mahārāja Parīkṣit see here? As the verse says, Raja Uvacha. The king said, Mahārāja Parīkṣit addresses the bull. He says, Dharmam bravisi dharmagna. You are speaking about religion and you know the principles of religion. Then he makes the extraordinary conclusion. Dharmosi vrasharupadrak. You are Dharma himself, appearing in the form of a bull. Why does he reach his conclusion? So, because Dharma is displaying an understanding that is extremely difficult for an ordinary person to display. It is not possible for even ordinary bull to display it, right? How can a bull stand on one leg and go on conversing and lamenting a lot? The normal human response to suffering, like how normally, like generally how humans will be responding to that. So normally when we suffer, we immediately look outward. Something happens. We search for the cause. Who is responsible? Why did I get this suffering? From whom did I get this suffering? And with what my actions I got this suffering? Suppose someone criticizes us, immediately we say like, oh, that person doesn't like me, that person hates me a lot, that person doesn't even care for me, that person doesn't even show kindness on me. Someone gets higher promotion instead of us. Then we say like, oh, my manager is very partial or biased towards other employees but not me. And if something goes wrong in our plans, and we just immediately blame like, oh, why did this happen to only me? Why Krishna? Why did you do this to me? Right? If a relationship becomes difficult, so we immediately blame on the other person like, oh, they are the responsible person. They themselves are, giving us more and more troubles. Right? They are the reason why I am suffering. Our consciousness naturally shifts towards blame, and sometimes blame becomes our identity. Continuously we blame, we start blaming upon others, and we repeatedly narrate the same incident on our mind. You know what did they do to me? And our mind, if we constantly think about that situation, our mind constantly gives us the thoughts about that, and it continuously bothers us. 1 month later, still you will be remembering that only, even sometimes 1 year later also. The event may have happened only once, but we experience it hundreds of times because we keep replaying it in our mind. Imagine if someone cuts your hand, there is a wound or injury, but every morning you take your finger and keep touching that wound, then you say, oh, why isn't this wound healing? The physical wound may have happened only once, but mentally we keep reopening it. Daily we go get through that part and we say like, oh, why did this happen? Oh, and lamenting, oh, I should not do this, I should not do that, I should not have done that. Blaming somebody repeatedly can work in exactly the same way. The devotee learns that I cannot always control what happened to me, but I can control what I allow that experience to do to my consciousness. Just like we may have faced many life situations, and sometimes at that moment we cannot understand, but later we try to understand that, oh, this situation happened to my good cause only. I have learned that I should be little more cautious at that time, so that a big danger could be avoided, right? Dharma acts differently from the normal persons. It refuses to enter the blame game. Dharma has been tortured. Kali has beaten him. Yet, Dharma does not say that, oh, Kali is the cause of my suffering, because Dharma understands a deeper principle. There may be an immediate external cause, but ultimately nothing happens independently of the Supreme Lord. And this is why the purport says that devotee does not consider someone to be independently responsible for being a benefactor or the mischief maker without the sanction of the Lord. And here is the key word is independently. A person may perform an action. That person is responsible for the action. Karma exists, justice exists, Dharma also exists. But the devotee understands that the entire situation is ultimately operating under Lord's supervision. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the last chapter, in text 61, Supreme Lord Krishna says that Ishvara sarva bhutanam hridese Arjuna tishtati. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. He is directing the moments of living beings within the material energy. So the devotee develops a larger vision. Instead of thinking, this person is independently controlling my life, the devotee thinks that this person may have acted in a particular way, but Krishna has allowed this situation to come before me. How should I respond as Krishna's servant? Which is completely a different consciousness than the normal one. Does this mean we ignore wrongdoing? No. If everything is God's arrangement, then why punish Kali? Right? But Mahārāja Parīkṣit does punish Kali. In fact, the entire context of this chapter 17 demonstrates the importance of protecting Dharma and innocent beings who are very obedient to the laws and following all the scriptural rules. So accepting God's arrangement does not mean becoming irresponsible. And there are two levels of responsibilities. The external level could be like we perform our duty. If someone is harming others, we take appropriate action. A parent may protect his child. A teacher corrects a student. A manager addresses a misconduct of employee who works under him. And a king punishes criminals. A devotee does not use philosophy as an excuse for irresponsibility. The next level is internal level. At the same time, the devotee does not become consumed by hatred. He thinks that I will perform my duty, but I will not allow resentment to destroy my consciousness, which is extremely different distinction. Why does Parīkṣit Maharaj recognize Dharma? The purport here says something very striking. The extraordinary behavior of the bull made Mahārāja Parīkṣit understand that the bull was certainly the personality of religion. Parīkṣit that does not recognize Dharma because the bull has a label saying, I am Dharma. he could not recognize initially. He thought like it's just like a normal bull and cow. But he recognizes Dharma by his behavior under suffering. Oh, even in the midst of calamities, this bull is speaking philosophy. It's not something ordinary. We may say, I am a devotee, but when something goes wrong, what happens? That is where our consciousness is revealed. When everything goes well, Krishna is very merciful. But when something goes wrong, why only me, Krishna? Why this is happening only to me? Right? That is the actual test that we have to go through. Imagine in a school, if a student saying that I understand mathematics, and the teacher says, excellent, here you go, here is the problem, please solve that. And the student looks at the problem and says, why are you giving me this problem? Then what is the point? The teacher says that, I am not asking whether you can repeat the formula, but I am testing whether you can apply it. Just memorizing the formula does not make you understand the concept fully, because anyone can mug up or memorize that formula. But if you know how to apply it, if you know how to solve the problem, then only that knowledge is very inherited in your brain, in your mind, right? Similarly, our spiritual life is not only tested when everything is comfortable. Difficult situations reveal whether philosophy has actually entered the heart or not. Even in the situation of calamities or problems, our original consciousness is being revealed. How well are you situated in those calamities, in those difficulties? Are you taking the shelter of Krishna, lotus feet of Krishna, or just blaming on others like, oh, he is responsible, that person is responsible, or this person is responsible, or the situation is responsible, right? So, some of the important points to note from this is, do not blame your identity. A devotee does not spend his life asking who I can blame. He asks like, what is Krishna teaching me through this situation or experience? And responsibility still exists. Seeing Krishna behind circumstances does not cancel karma, justice or duty. We act appropriately externally, but internally we give up unnecessary hatred. And our response reveals our consciousness. The real test of spiritual advancement is not just how we behave when life is favorable, but it is how do I respond when life does not go according to my plan. And I would like to conclude today's verse by stating few takeaways. So, a devotee does not live in the consciousness of blame. The devotee understands that nothing happens independently of the Lord. Everything happens by the sanction of the Lord. Accepting Krishna's arrangement does not mean becoming irresponsible. We still perform our dharmic duties and protect others. The real test of spiritual advancement is our response to difficulty. When everything is favorable, devotion is easy to display and practice. Difficulty reveals our actual dependence on Krishna. When problem arises, when something does not go in the favor of our plan, then it reveals like how much are we dependent on Krishna, how much are we chanting properly, how much are we doing our sadhana, right? We should not assume we know exactly why Krishna sends a particular difficulty. Instead, we can trust upon Krishna and focus on our response and pray to Krishna that Krishna, I don't know what you are trying to teach me, but please give me the strength and ability to understand this situation and to take some practical lessons out of it, and also I wanted to take your shelter of your lotus feet. So we need to pray that to Supreme Lord Shri Radha Kunj Pyari. So suffering can become an opportunity for remembrance. Prahlāda, Draupadī, Arjuna and the Pandavas demonstrate that difficulty can deepen dependence upon the Lord. The highest response is, I will do my duty. I will not become consumed by hatred, and I will accept whatever comes as an opportunity to remember and serve Krishna. Maybe Krishna has put me in this situation to more and more purify, or to get more and more humbler, or get more and more close to Krishna, or else in that situation we might have to serve some other devotees who are very dear to Krishna. So when something unfavorable happens in our life, perhaps instead of immediately asking, Krishna, why did you do this to me? We can gradually learn to ask, Krishna, you have allowed this situation to come before me. Please give me the intelligence to respond in a way that brings me closer to you. And that is exactly the consciousness of Mahārāja Parīkṣit when he recognized in Dharma. The devotee does not measure Krishna's mercy only by how comfortable life feels. The devotee learns to recognize Krishna's mercy even when circumstances are difficult and dramatic. Right? So I would like to conclude by this. And please forgive if I misspoke anything. And Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai, Hare Krishna. So one quick announcement. So coming Thursday, this Thursday we are celebrating Balram Purnima. So everyone is invited to please attend Balram Purnima festival in ISKCON Detroit Temple. And also there's the last day of Julan Yatra. So please come, have the blissful experience of Julan Yatra and serving deities in this, keeping on the swing. It's a very beautiful experience. So I would like to request everyone to please join us and have a blissful darshan experience and also wonderful feast. Thursday evening starting from 6 o'clock. So I request everyone to please attend Balram Purnima and get the most blissful and mercy from Lord Balram on his appearance day. Hare Krishna.